There is a reason you can't forget the things that hurt you. Someone insulted you 15 years ago, and you remember the exact words, the tone, where you were standing, what you were wearing. But yesterday, someone complimented you 3 times, and you can barely recall one. You're not dramatic. You're not negative. You're not choosing to hold on to pain. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, remembering what threatens you, cataloging every wound, building a database of danger so you never get hurt the same way twice. This is the self-reference effect. And if you don't understand why painful memories stick while positive ones slide away, you'll spend your life thinking you're broken when really you're just wired for survival. Let's start with what you've already noticed. 10 people tell you you're talented, one person says you're mediocre, and somehow the one negative comment is the only thing your brain replays at 3 in the morning. You achieve something incredible, but all you remember is the person who didn't congratulate you, that one face in the crowd that looked unimpressed. You have a great day, but the moment someone snaps at you, the one interaction becomes the whole story. This isn't fair, this isn't logical, but it's universal. Your brain has a negativity bias, a built-in system that prioritizes bad over good, threat over safety, pain over pleasure. And it's not trying to make you miserable, it's trying to keep you alive. Think about it from your brain's perspective. Your ancestors lived in a world where remembering what hurt them was the difference between survival and death. The rustle in the bushes that turned out to be a predator, the plant that made them sick, the person who betrayed them. Forgetting those things meant repeating the same fatal mistakes again. So, the brain evolved to tattoo danger into memory, to make sure every threat was catalogued, analyzed, and never forgotten. But positive experience? Those didn't need the same intensity of recall. Finding food was great, but forgetting where you found it once wouldn't kill you. Being accepted by the tribe was nice, but forgetting a compliment wasn't life-threatening. So, your brain built an asymmetric system. Pain gets priority, pleasure gets filed under optional. And thousands of years later, you're still running that same software in a world where insults aren't predators and rejection isn't death. But your brain doesn't know that. Now, here's where it gets specific. The self-reference effect. You don't remember everything equally. You remember things that relate to you. Your identity, your sense of self, your worth. A stranger drops a plate in a restaurant and 5 minutes later you've forgotten it. But someone criticizes your work, it was information about you, and anything about you gets encoded differently, deeper with more emotional weight. This is why you remember the bad review and forget the 10 good ones. Why you remember who didn't like you but forget who did. Why you remember every time you failed but barely recall the times you succeeded. Your brain treats information about your self-concept as high-priority data, and when that data is threatening, when it suggests you're not who you thought you were, it gets burned into memory like a brand. Here's what your brain is really protecting. Not your body, but your sense of self. You walk through the world with a story about who you are. I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm competent, and I'm lovable. And when something contradicts that story, your brain sounds the alarm, not because the event itself is dangerous, but because the threat to your identity feels like an existential danger. Someone calls you stupid and it sticks with you because it threatens your I'm smart narrative. Someone rejects you and it haunts you because it challenges your I'm lovable belief. Someone questions your ability and you replay it forever because it undermines your I'm competent foundation. The hurt isn't just about what happened, it's about what it means about you. And your brain remembers what threatens who you think you are, because if you lose your sense of self, what's left of you? But here's where memory becomes torture, because it's not just that you remember pain, it's that you replay it over and over, late at night, in the shower, while you're trying to focus on something else. This is rumination, and it's not random. Your brain is trying to solve a problem. It thinks if you replay the painful moment enough times, You'll figure out what you did wrong, how to prevent it from happening again, how to protect yourself from the future hurt. So it keeps bringing it up, analyzing it, offering you slightly different versions of what you could have said or what you could have done to change the outcome. But the cruel irony, rumination doesn't solve the problem, it deepens the wound. Every time you replay the memory, you re-encode it, make it stronger, more vivid, more emotionally charged. You're not processing it, you are practicing it. And here's where the self-reference effect becomes truly destructive. You don't just remember what hurt you, you use it to define you. That rejection becomes proof you're not good enough. That failure becomes evidence that you'll never succeed. That betrayal becomes confirmation that people can't be trusted. You take isolated incidents and turn them into identity, into absolutes, into the truth about who you are. And then you start filtering everything through that lens, ignoring evidence that contradicts your negative belief, cherry-picking moments that confirm it. Someone compliments you and you think they're just being nice. Someone chooses you and you wonder when they'll figure out you're not worth it. Someone loves you and you wait for them to leave. Your memory isn't just recording what hurts, it's building a case against you. And you're the prosecutor, the jury, and the defendant all at once. Now, let's talk about what doesn't stick, the good stuff. Someone tells you you're amazing and it feels nice for about 30 seconds, then it's gone, evaporated like it never happened. Not because you don't want to believe it, but because your brain doesn't flag it as important. Positive information doesn't threaten your survival, it doesn't signal danger, it doesn't require you to adapt or protect yourself or change your behavior. So it gets processed as low priority, filed away in shallow memory where it fades quickly. And even when you try to hold on to it, your brain resists. Because focusing on what's good means lowering your guard, and lowering your guard feels dangerous to a system designed to keep you vigilant against threat. This is the positivity paradox. You crave positive feedback, but your brain is wired to forget it, while the negative stuff, that gets permanent residency. But there's something even darker happening here, the way shame amplifies memory. When something hurts you and you feel ashamed about it, your brain doesn't just remember the event, it remembers the emotion attached to it, the embarrassment, the humiliation, the feeling of being exposed or inadequate or fundamentally flawed. On shame, it's one of the most powerful emotional amplifiers your brain has. It doesn't just encode the memory, it lights it up like a flare, makes it impossible to forget. This is why childhood wounds stick so deeply, because you didn't just experience pain, you experienced it through the lens of a child who doesn't understand context or complexity, who takes everything personally, who feels shame for things that weren't their fault. And that shame-soaked memory becomes the foundation for how you see yourself decades later. Here's another layer: you don't just remember what hurts you directly, you remember what makes you feel less than. Someone succeeds where you failed, someone gets chosen when you were overlooked, someone is praised for something you've been doing quietly for years. And your brain files that under threat, not because they hurt you intentionally, but because their success highlights your perceived inadequacy. This is social comparison, and it's vicious, because now you're not just remembering your own pain, you are remembering everyone else's success as evidence of your failure. You remember who got promoted while you stayed stuck, who got married while you stayed single, who seems happy while you are struggling. And your brain treats those comparisons like personal attacks, because in the logic of self-reference, anything that threatens your relative status threatens your survival. So here's the question: if your brain is wired to remember pain, how do you stop drowning in it? The answer isn't to forget. You can't force your brain to delete memories. Trying to suppress them only makes them stronger. The answer is to change your relationship with the memory, to stop treating it as evidence of who you are and start seeing it as something that happened to you. That rejection doesn't mean you're unlovable, it means one person didn't choose you. That failure doesn't mean you're incompetent. It means you tried something that didn't work. And you do that by consciously collecting counter evidence. You have to interrupt the meaning-making machine, the part of your brain that turns events into identity, by forcing yourself to notice and record the moments your negative belief isn't true. This isn't toxic positivity, this is memory rebalancing. When someone compliments you, write it down, not because you're in vain, because your brain won't hold it otherwise. When something goes well, pause, let yourself feel it. Replay it the way you replay painful moments. When you succeed, mark it, celebrate it, give your brain permission to encode it as important information. You're not erasing the negative memories, you're adding context, building a more complete picture, one where pain exists but doesn't define everything. Because the truth is, your life contains both hurt and healing, rejection and acceptance, failure and success. But right now, your memory is a biased historian, only recording half the story, the half that confirms your worst fears about yourself. So, if you remember what hurts you, know this: you're not broken, you're not bitter, you're not unable to move on. You're just a human with a brain doing exactly what evolution designed it to do, protecting you from threat, even when the threat is just a memory. But you don't have to let that memory become your identity. You don't have to let pain be the only story you tell about yourself. You can remember what hurt you and still choose to remember what healed you, what lifted you, and what proved that your worst belief about yourself isn't the whole truth. The self-reference effect is real, but so is your power to reshape what you reference. To decide that who you are isn't defined by what hurt you, but by how you survived it. Remember the pain if you must, but remember your resilience too. Both are true. Both deserve space in your story.